Welcome everyone. It is 3 p.m. and it's time for the Server Room Show. This is episode 69. Today I will talk about a topic which I think, in my opinion, is essential part of IT and the IT profession. Not just IT and IT profession, but in general throughout life. But I think not everyone takes full advantage of this thing. It is personal development. What is personal development? Personal development consists of activities that develop a person's capabilities and potential, build human capital, facilitate employability, and enhance quality of life and the realization of dreams and aspirations. Personal development may take place over the course of an individual's entire lifespan. This is the part which most of the people tend to ignore or not to pay attention. Many of us probably thinks that when you finish school and you finish your studies, which are mandatory, once those are done, you do a bit more, gain some experience in your craft or in your area. It is very true in IT as well. I've seen it many times, and after a couple of years, people tend to be very comfortable with what they already know, or the experience they build, and more often than not, they don't really want to develop themselves. That's the best word, and they sometimes don't see that by just having enough with what they've already gathered, being it knowledge or experience. That's the first thing which stops them from those realization of dreams and aspirations I just mentioned, and also to enhance their quality of life. And I agree with the statement that learning or actually personal development takes place throughout the course of someone's entire lifespan, because there is always something new to learn in IT or in anything else. Among other things, personal development may include also the following activities, like improving self-awareness, improving self-knowledge, improving skills, and or learning new ones. This is the part which is very, very true in the IT profession. Building or renewing identity or self-esteem, developing strengths or talent, improving a career, identifying or improving potential, building employability, or alternatively human capital. So like I said, in IT it's very important, and the reason being why is one of the reasons that today more and more company expects you to become more than what you have started out with. What I mean with this, that you are getting hired with a set of skills, both soft skills and hard skills, but more and more in more and more places you are expected during your career or the time you spent with the company to further expand on what you've already known when you started with them, or perhaps to learn new ones, new skills, or develop and expand on the ones you've already known. And like I said, it's more true on bigger companies, but I've seen from not small but like medium or moderate sized businesses, like let's say like around or a bit under of 300 employees, that even they are budgeting for personal development of the employees, and more often than not they offer even up to I saw where they were offering up to 800 euros per year for your personal development. I guess you can use this budget for to take an exam, for example, or get some certification books, roll onto some courses, or attend some online courses which help you, you expand your knowledge, or learn new skills. And yeah, more and more companies, thank God, regardless of the size, are trying to offer this possibility to develop the human capital they are required they are acquired during the hiring process, and the years working with people. And indeed, it's a true investment in your own workers if you run a company, or you own a company. And this self-development and constantly learning new skills and new crafts is even more true to fields like IT, like I mentioned already a couple of times. The main reason that not just that companies more and more are expecting to develop yourself, but to keep up with the technology changes around us in IT, which is constant. It's constantly changing, and the knowledge and skills can become, if not useless, but obsolete quicker than in any other sector, in my opinion. For example, while growing up, we were taught Basic and Turbo Pascal in high school. I don't know if any of you saw any job offer with those lately. I know that there are skills and experience and knowledge which remained relevant throughout a long period of time, and a great example for that would be COBOL, the programming language, which is still actively used in finance and banking. And if I'm not mistaken, it's coming from somewhere around the 50s, 60s. The COBOL programming language, I might be wrong on that one, and it doesn't look like that it's gonna go away ever. We will see about that. And people who can program in COBOL are very few and far in between, and their skills are highly demanded and very highly rewarded and paid. Other skills or other technical skills, they get replaced, for example, by other programming languages, like modern ones, like lately C# or Rust, just to mention two newer technologies, or two newer programming languages. And to mention newer technologies, I could mention the cloud. Anything about the cloud, AWS, IBM Cloud, Azure, virtualization as a whole, or containers. In this episode, I will focus on mostly hard skills, as we discussing IT and the technology field, which can help you build your human capital and employability. But everything I outline in general can just as much be applied to soft skills as well, for any other area of personal development. Many companies, like I said, they provide annual sum to employees, And sometimes it's up to the hundreds of euros, and sometimes it can be perhaps as little as 50 euros per person, which you can redeem for this aforementioned educational use, or something related to it, like the study materials we mentioned, online courses or exam fees. I even see that they were completely fine with obtaining a Raspberry Pi to learn about embedded computing or single board computers, and it was fine under this offer, so to say. So the pitch the pitch for personal development uh, follows as below. So just think about this for a moment. If every day you spend 1 hour surfing the web or watching YouTube videos, listening to podcasts, or just trying to numb your mind with something which eventually add very little intellectually, or represent not a lot of value in itself, like I mean, not something you can actually learn something from, or actually use as a skill, like woodworking, for example, then what would be the outcome or result if you were to spend that 1 hour every day we just mentioned, uh, or let's say just 5 times that 1 hour a week, so 5 times 1 hour a week, to learn something new or something which can further advance you in anything in life. So it doesn't have to be IT or this technology field, as I mentioned. All this general concept of personal development, and why is it useful, and why I think it's important and not to be overlooked, can be applied in all those bits and pieces I mentioned in the beginning. That it's not just learning new skills; it can be self-awareness, uh, trying to uh, improve your self knowledge, or building or renewing your self-esteem, or improving or developing your strengths, or your talents, which could be, I don't know, maybe you are very talented to draw, or to do tricks, or anything. It doesn't have to be about IT and regards to the technical field. So imagine you spend that uh, empty, let's say that empty 1 hour per day, or just 5 times a week. So just 5 hours a week you would spend on to learn something new, something which can advance you, like we said, in anything, a topic or a skill perhaps you are novice in, or something which is completely new for you, but you think or you know for a fact that it can help you in the future to get a better job, to get a promotion, or just simply for the fact that it enriches you, or develops you a better person. That's the best way to put it. So how much more would you know about this topic or this skill, being it a soft or a hard skill, doesn't matter, in just a month? And then imagine how much more would you know about this, let's say in 6 months, and in a year. So while watching Netflix or YouTube, or listening to podcasts, just to say another example, are great, but if it is done in excess, as everything in life, uh, it takes a big chunk out of your 24 hour you have for a day, and what's left of it after work and sleep and other chores, the more important it becomes, uh, in my opinion, how we spend it, how we spend that time which is left to spend on what you want to spend it on, because we all need to sleep, we all need to work, we all need to do our chores, but the X amount of hours, let's say, left from that 24 is not that many, and I think that's why it's important how we spend it and how we get the most out of this investment, how we get the most for our time, because in the end of the day, time is our most valuable resource. You ask anyone, they will tell you that time is our most valuable resource. I think of activities which might bring joy and happiness, but add little value in the sense of personal development. Uh, Maybe it's wrong on my end, but I like to compare it to alcohol. It is nice until you have it, or until you do it, but when you finished with it, and assume the amount of time, and sometimes uh, not even mentioning the money you spent on it, it makes you wonder if you could have benefited better from that investment of time slash money, uh, as you have little to show for it in the end, unless feeling dizzy and with your body being numb from sitting on the sofa being watching 3 hours of Friends in a row, um, can can be any form of a benefit. So my take on this is that as moderation is the key to everything in life, um, a better schedule of your free time and on what you spend it on proportionally can go a long way in your future and in your career, and as a result of your entire life. So perhaps just to stick with the previous Friends being watching analogy, let's say spending 1 hour on the sofa enjoying your favorite sitcom, and spending 2 hours on person development, then you immediately, from 3 hours, you took one for fun and leisure activity, no matter if it adds or not any value in the long run, and you turned 2/3 of that time into something in a form of personal development, uh, perhaps 4 or 5 days, 4 or 5 times a week, which can bring huge improvement to your personal worth, both to yourself and your actual or even future employer in a short or long term. The most visible example where the above can be seen uh, normally is doing sports or some kind of fitness activity, where just 1 hour a day for 3 or 4 days, or 3 or 4 times a week, uh, can vastly improve your health, the way you feel about yourself. Not even mentioning if you balance it out with a healthy diet, uh, you can see huge improvements in your well-being, and in your health, and your overall the way you feel yourself. I just wanted to point out this example, which you might already know, and to see that this same principle is followed than the ones we discussed. So that's why the concept and the idea is the same, and you can apply it on pretty much everywhere else in life. And and this is what I'm talking about here in this episode today, just applied on another aspect of personal or self development. In my opinion, the top three areas or interests regarding to IT or technology, yeah, let's say IT, which I think will become even more prominent or even more important than it is today, are the below. These top three I could make up with my mind, and I think these worth your attention to develop your IT skills in them or explore them even more in depth if it's something new for you. The first one undoubtedly is Linux. Linux is being more and more prominent. It's not something which can be taken lightly anymore. It's not just for geeks. It's not just for those very selected fews. Linux is out there. Linux is everywhere and becoming more and more important. And if I'm not mistaken by statistics, I think it has already ahead of Windows in many areas where operating systems are running. I'm not saying that Linux is ahead of Microsoft in the personal computer on users' personal desktops, but definitely in enterprises. And my number three is the cloud. Linux is really taking over, if has not taken over already. Number two is cybersecurity. It's somewhat new, not that new, and evolving. It's more and more people who know about cybersecurity and who can perform various functions in it, and it is definitely an area where you can get really well paid jobs quite quickly. And the third one, as I mentioned, is the cloud. Anything about the cloud: AWS, Azure, IBM Cloud, Google Cloud, any cloud, and anything involving the cloud, any technology is I think it's a good choice to go. The forms of personal development for expanding your hard skills in IT, to stick with IT. Today there is way more than just classes in a classroom, which you have to attend by a strict schedule with an instructor present. However, still one of the best and most efficient form, and also most of the time the most expensive option amongst the others, in my opinion. And I think if your budget and schedule allows it, I would take a course, traditional course in a classroom, before any of the alternative options. So in-person courses or classes with certified instructor, as mentioned above, this is my preferred method, even if it is the most old school one, so to say. It is indeed most of the time the most expensive. I did mention that. They lately started to call these by many names. They refer to them as boot camps. I have also seen some which were charging a fee for attending, and they were calling them some kind of hackathons, or just simply trainings or courses, and yeah, these names, and all of them, the common in them that you have to attend them in person. Most often than not, these include invaluable add-ons like the interactivity with the certified trainers. Important because you can ask your questions and get clarifications on points where you probably might have doubts. Also can serve great as a networking event and socialization with other like-minded individuals from the same field of interest, and you never know when it can come handy knowing someone from town X working in field Z you did your training course on topic Y together a couple of years back. He or she might be interviewing you tomorrow for a new job, or vice versa, comes up as a finalist at your workplace, and you have a chance to share your opinion on that person during the hiring process. Books in a form of like certification guides, or simply just books exploring a topic in depth in IT are great resources for those who can and want to study and develop their skills in their own pace and schedule. Learning something from a book might not be the most intuitive and joyful experience for many, as it lacks interactivity between an instructor and the student, and also there is no easy way to ask questions and to get clarification on points where you might be in a doubt. You can have the typical physical books if you wish, or you can even opt for ebooks, or even subscription of catalog service like Safari Books Online, which now has been renamed to O'Reilly.com, which is a learning platform which provides access to a lot of books and publications in a form of a monthly subscription. Individual plans start from 49 US dollars a month, or you can save 50% if you pay upfront for a longer period of time, for example, 12 months. It was a long time ago. I had a Safari Books Online account provided by one of my previous employer, but I remember the only inconvenience was that I had to read the books either in the browser or in the Safari Books Online app on the phone or on the tablet at that time. However, the vast amount of books available was great. There was no topic or interest in IT. I couldn't find a book or two on mostly many on this platform. I can definitely say it's worth it if you know you will take advantage of all what it can offer, versus buying physical or electronic books, one by one, for pretty much what 1 month of subscription would cost on this platform. I know you do not own the content purchased with a subscription like O'Reilly or Spotify is another example, but this model might work for some of you in certain scenarios. They have over 45,000 titles from O'Reilly and more than 200 trusted publishers, including Harvard Business Review, Pearson's, which you might know, and many more. O'Reilly early release books give you a sneak peek before books or certification guides go public, so you can get a head start. More than 30,000 hours of video from industry leaders and case studies from top companies help you learn from their successes and mistakes. Online courses are another big contendant in the field of personal development. They offer the same, or they try to offer the similar experience like an on-campus or in-person training, many even trying to mimic the same look and feel of an on-site or on-premises training. They do this with things called like virtual aulas and student forums and chat platforms where you can raise questions to the instructors and also interact with your fellow classmates and discuss the topics and what was clear and what was not, and try to help one another. But I think it can never replicate the very same experience, what it would be being on site, in person, on premises, in a training facility, with real people around you you can interact with, including your instructor. You can ask questions and clarifications. The positive is that at least it's more affordable, and you do not need to travel or stick to a strict schedule to attend, as it's most of the time on demand, with the exception when the training or course is not delivered from pre-recorded material, but provided live at the moment, where scheduled indeed is involved. I have experience with some online courses from the on-demand type, and there are all kinds for all kind of price ranges. Known or famous platforms are Udemy, for example, where everyone can become an instructor, and after a short probation and adhering to some minimum standards, you can present your teaching material or course in any language of your choice, either for free or for a fee. You can find courses of all kinds in all topics, including IT or tarot card reading on Udemy, and prices indeed vary as well as their quality. You can find courses done professionally for like 20 to between 20 and 10 and 20 euros, um, executed with great detail, while others, even if they cost more, might be lesser in quality or feels more done in a hurry. Other more filtered and professional examples for great, though more expensive online training or courses could be probably CBT Nuggets, Pearson's, as I mentioned before, or the new contendant LinkedIn Learning. When it comes to uh, and when it comes to Cisco and networking courses, I think INE from ine.com has incredible quality and professional execution, and worth every penny you spend on them. These online or video courses combine most of the time whiteboard teachings, recorded and commented screencasts or screen recordings with lab exercises or workbook sheets, including presentation slides and sometimes even virtual machines embedded in the course material received. So you really have everything. You have the sheets, you have the recordings, you have exercises and labs to follow along with the solution keys or the solutions presented. So it can pretty nicely feel as an all-rounder. The closing thoughts on this episode of today. I know that I went a little bit over my 30-minute limit, so to say, but again, I think it's worth it to keep the episode as a whole. The closing thoughts are learning is a continuous process of gaining knowledge and skills, which we never ever are stopped, because life never stops teaching us. Learning new things is important for our growth and especially for our professional life, since technology is improving day by day, so it creates tough competition, because if we stop learning new things, we can deteriorate and in fact move backward, as learning something new keeps our brain cell activity and allow us to grow and succeed at something new. Let us give ourselves a big pat on the back. So that was the episode for today about personal development and why I think that it is important, and how it fits into IT and into our field of both professional and personal interest. Thank you very much, and see you next Saturday.